Let's see if that did it. Okay, now I will refresh the Dukascopy webinar. It's still not coming up. So I still can't see the chat line. Let's see more of Dukascopy on this page. Let's try that. See if I'm on there. No, I'm not on there. I cannot see the chat line. That's what the problem is. I can do the webinar, but I won't be able to see the chat line. And I guess if you want to fire any questions out, you can fire them through the Skype. Maybe that's the best way to go. Just cut and paste them and throw them onto the Skype. Let's see. Does that make any sense? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, they're okay? Okay, good. I'm not able to see questions, though. That's the only thing I don't understand, but I'm not going to complain about that too much. As long as you can hear me, I can get certain distance, and we can probably find a way of passing it along, you know? Let's see, it's good thing auto call ended. Okay, check Skype. So I'll just keep on watching the Skype line instead. And maybe every so often I'll try to get back through YouTube to the Dukascopy YouTube page and see if I can see the Skype line from that. Nah, it doesn't want to. It's not allowing me to take a. I don't know how anybody else can get in there, but I can't. Okay, so market movers play all. Let's play all. Let's see what that is. All right. Anyway, let's get rolling along here. I can see that. That looks like we're seeing something there, and that is what is that? That's Bitcoin. That's right. So we saw the strength come into Bitcoin on Thursday. I guess it was definitely on Friday for sure. No, Friday. That's what it was. Friday on the 14th. Still in a weekly buy from there. Let's go over to the euro and see what's going on with the euro. So there's the euro. As you can see, and let's go to Dukascopy too. Let's use the J4X also, and let's get the spreadsheet up there too, like so. So there it is there. We're seeing the strength. It's really ripping up on the upside here. Not an appreciation of value, but up. So we're seeing strength in that this morning. Also, I noticed that when I was looking at the yen this morning, I saw the yen moving in the reverse direction. It started to move down. So with the yen moving down, that's usually a chance for the dollar to move down, which means the pairs trade should go up. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see the chat line to be able to see. Let's see if we can do this. Let's go to click on that. I can't see the chat line yet, so I'm just going to keep on pushing on that every so often to see if I can find the chat line. But I can't find it on any of my machines, so I'm not sure what that's all about. Which makes not a lot of sense there, since now I'm up on OBS. So anyhow, that's how we go there. I'm watching the Skype line. If anybody can pass along any questions through the Skype line, that'll be fine. Let's see. I can copy paste the questions to you. Perfect. I appreciate that. I'll keep this on my lap. It's coming in through my tablet. Microphone is low. How about now? Is that any better? That should work out better. Farkash, how you doing? Sorry, we are technically inept, but Janos has come to save the day, so that's pretty cool. And that'll work out real fine. So you can see here the like I said, the euro seems to be moving up, and I imagine we're seeing the same thing with the cable. Let's take a look at the cable. There's cable, and it's kind of looking in the middle there, isn't it? And the cable is, look at that, that's dragging along. But I think we went into a daily buy on Friday on the cable. Where's that at? Let's go to, what did I do? I put up the wrong spreadsheet. Well, we're really going in the wrong direction. There's the stock spreadsheet instead. So let's go find the Dukascopy one that we use right there. And here it comes. Get rid of that. And as you can see there on line 14, at 2 days in the daily buy, and there it is. Yeah, cable is 1 day in the daily buy. Good. Making sure this thing, I see the Skype line is very consistent. That thing is always there. It's just that when I get flying, I keep it on a tablet, And when I get flying, sometimes hours can go by. It's like that Einstein thing, you know. So there we are with the cable. And you can see the cable's kind of not really getting any legs at the moment. I kept on thinking with the way they tried to pop it up, it might mean something here. And then when we look at the Chicago Quant, let's see, let's go to that. I think it's only a couple weeks in a buy, right? That's line 13, 4 weeks in a buy. So they seem to be nibbling away there. I guess that's the best way to describe it. It's like a look at that. Look at that sideways chop thing. Are they in the Mediterranean too, looking for oil like the way Turkey was? It's starting to look like the Turkish currency there with that sideways action. But you see the daily buy kicked out here. Let's throw a line in there from Friday, like that, and you can see, you know, it's gotten really flatlined in here. I'm not sure what they're staring at, or what they're not staring at, or what they're happy about, or what they're not happy about. But at the moment, it seems like the cable's just kind of up. There we go. I think I got my chat line. Here we go. Yes, it seems like we're there. I think we got a chat line. I see it all now. Janos, thank you for saving us there. Skip the ad. I can see it now. Our internet issues at Doc's place due to hurricane. Yeah, looks fine. Saad says yes, he hears us. Farkesh, yep, he was telling me about the microphone being low. He's copy and pasting, but not anymore. You don't have to copy and paste anymore, so this is good. Everything is cool. Exactly. So now I'll just set my tablet down, and I won't be looking at it as close. But if it flashes, I will look down at it. I will check it. Matter of fact, I think I'll put it up at a spot here where I can see it a little bit better. There we are. There we go. Nope. All right, like that, and then like that. There we are. Up. All right, there we go. We should be able to see it a little bit better. So now I can see the chat line on the like the way Janos was able to see it. All right, now let's get back to cable, or move away from the cable, I guess. You can see it's trying to bounce here with the J4X. You see it's trying to fight its way up. It's got all that yellow thing going on there. But notice when we widen it, you can see there they're starting to kick some greens out, just like we are. Right there, we got some greens starting to form. So that's pretty cool. And again, this way of looking with the Hinky-Ashi has something like about a 75% correlation to our math, so that's really good. I mean, 75% is better than 0, you know what I mean? And so that's where we stand with that. Now, since we kind of mentioned the fact that this had that look of the Turkish lira about 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, let's take a look at the Turkish lira. See what it's up to. It does seem like they are all over the place when it comes to that poor thing at the moment. I'm afraid this thing's going after the 8s. It just has that look like it wants to go after the 8s. Let's see what it looks like on ours. As you can see, last week, now that's line 17. We are now 37 weeks in a weekly buy. 37 weeks. We're what's that? That's 15 weeks away from a whole year that we've been in a weekly buy in this product. I mean, I've seen 32 weeks. I've seen some crazy stuff happen, you know, throughout my lifetime looking at my math. I've seen it, you know, live. I saw Enron do 32 weeks, then stop, and then do 32 weeks again. I saw, you know, it did like a 2 or 3 week up, and then 32 weeks down again to the $14 area. Then it went into a buy again, and then it was sayonara. It just went into the weekly sell, and then it went out of business. And then we've seen Corning glassware in the internet bubble of 2000. We've seen that product go into I think it was like 30 some odd weeks also. Then get into a buy. It was trading at 205. This is the company that made, you know, dishes and cooking things, you know, and it was a $27 stock. And then what happened was the internet bubble started to develop, and Corning was the one manufacturing the fiber optics, so I guess they had the patent on fiber optics. So the stock ran to about $217 a share, and then then the internet bubble occurred in around 2000, and the stock went into a weekly sell and didn't come out of it for like 30. I think it was like 32 weeks actually, and or 24. No, it was 24 weeks. Then went into a buy for a week or two, and then again another 24 weeks in a sell. And before you knew it, that stock was trading at 17, down from $217 a share. and then it kind of slowly bottomed itself out, and then they're back in business, doing all right. And they're doing better than I'm sure the stock's in the 40s or 50s. I forget what the symbol is. I'll have to look it up one day. But for this case here, I've never seen 37 weeks. I did see something. I want to say I kind of remember back in the late 80s, maybe going into the early 90s, Marvel Comics. I think at one point, what had happened was some hedge fund bought Marvel Comics, and the hedge fund got in trouble, and it started to fall apart, and they crushed the stock like I forget what it was. It was a demonstrative sell-off, like 40% sell-off in the stock, and that was in a weekly sell for a long time. But I don't remember exactly how much. But this is very rare to see something like this, 37 weeks in a weekly buy. That says to me, watch out. I mean, something is brewing here. I don't think we're coming to the end of this calamity for the Turkish lira. I think we are just unfortunately, I think we're in the middle of it. And that's the worst part about it, is that it probably has a lot more room to fall apart. And I'm not happy about it. I mean, because all that means is it's inflation. You see those old crazy Wehrmark or Wehrmark or whatever it is, the German one with the before the 1930s and the 1920s or something like that. Where they use a wheelbarrow of currency to buy a loaf of bread. It's like things are out of control, and you don't want to see that happen anywhere. So this is not a good thing to see this product go from 1.5 to 7.5. This is definitely not what you want to see with your currency. Anyway, even the ruble, to a great extent, took a long time to get where it was at. It went from 5 one day into all of a sudden it was 13 or 14, and then it was like into the 20s. And that was over a couple year period, and then I guess it was in the 30s, and then what happened was with the Crimea, and under Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Obama, it went flying up into the 60s, so in the 70s and the 80s and whatever in that area. And now, we see the ruble kind of hanging out I guess it's in the 60s or 70s. Let's take a look at the ruble real quick just to kind of relate to that, because I don't know how to relate to the Turkish lira at this point. I mean, I'm not really sure what to say about it at this point. Yeah, you can see here in the 70s. And we go over to the J4X. And you can see this. It's just climbing. Just climbing with issues and issues and issues and green and green and green. And then this is the ruble now. I'll show you the ruble. And it seems to be stable, in its situation. It doesn't seem to be that much of a problem. It got up into the 80s. It seems to be around there. I kind of keep on thinking that it's going to come back down into the 40s, like the top end of that old range, but not right now. It needs to, I guess they need to do better things legally, law-wise, something of that nature. I guess that's usually part of the problem, is when you don't have a legal system that matches what's going on. It kind of turns things into this situation. So, we have a couple of those things. We see the same thing with the South African rand. So we can find that right there. South African rand is up in the 17s. Bounces around the 19s and 20s. And one time that was just like the Turkish lira. It was down into 4s, 5s, and 6s. I remember when it used to trade in the 6s and the 7s. And before the ANC got full control of the place. Now the currency's gone doubly up, and that's a pretty big industrial society. I guess it's the biggest industrial society in Africa, and so to see their currency double is not a really good thing there. Let's see if we can go back further and take a look at that. Let's see, weekly. Let's see what the weekly shows. Now, the weekly brings us back to 2004, so let's see what that shows there. And okay, so what did it do? It came down from the 40s down. So it must be like the opposite. And I guess it's now. I'm not sure if I know what I'm talking about. All right, let's try a monthly thing. Let's see if we can get a fix for that. I would love to see this thing before the ANC. I just remember a much lower, back in the 80s and 90s, I just remember a lower currency of the 7s and the 6s. So something jacked it up into the 40s and brought it down, and now it's lifting. I don't know if they've split it or did one of those things or reconstituted a new South African rand. If anybody knows, they can throw it up on the chat line, and I think I will look this up because that's all now making no sense to me at all. But that's how I see it at this point. And I see the same thing with this one also, the Chinese, this one right here. It's locked way too long in a 6 and a 7 area, just way too long. I don't have a lot of confidence when I see that. You can see it has gone from 6s all the way up to 7s, but that's awful tight. And since it's only 1% or less of the world market in trading, it doesn't have much meaning to begin with. So I bet the South African rand trades more currency a day internationally than the Chinese yuan. All right. Anyway, that's where we are with the Turkish lira. Is that we're having a flashback of many years ago of other currencies that played in the 1s and the 2s and the 3s and are now trading in the 14s and the 15s and the 16s and the 30s and the 40s and so forth. So that's where we stand. All right, let's shoot over to Canadian unless anybody cares to try to chime in on anything particular. Oh, what is that? Farkesh says, what about the dollar index? Dollar seems to be going down. Maybe we are going to see a breakout. Breakout in what way? Like it come back up again? I kind of think I think it's where it should be. It should be in the 80s and 90s, the index itself. I think it's been way, way, way too strong. I think it's too much of a flight to safety that's been pumping it up. And I remember saying last week, I think we need to watch the saltine. What is that? The Swiss franc. We need to look at the Swiss franc and the dollar because I think they work really well as a mirror image to each other. So you can see here, we were talking about it last week, seeing them if they're going to break the 90s, and start moving down. Let's get back to the daily on this. All right, there's the daily, and so kind of thinking that might be if this is going to keep on moving down, I would imagine the dollar, obviously, since it's a dollar's pair Swiss or saltine pairs trade with a dollar, and the end result is it's moving down, and the dollar's way overvalued. I mean, it should be in the high 80s or something like that, and I think it's trading in the high 90s. Let's see if we can get the dollar index on this thing. I know we've done that before. Where is it at? Dollar index. There it is right there. Yeah, see, it's 92. I think it should even go lower still. I don't think it should be this high up. I think it's overvalued. It all seems to be some type of flight to safety. I mean, we've seen the dollar index trading at 100 and change. It's just way too high. Now, with it, the metals in the United States have now made all-time highs again, or at least gold has. Not the silver, of course, but gold has made all-time highs again. So after 9 years, is it 9 years? I guess it is 9 years, gold finally made an all-time high when the dollar, or when the dollar started to finally break down again. The dollar was holding it up from going through all-time highs, and we've talked about it in the webinar here. There's about 80 or 90 different currency pairs that have been at all-time highs now in gold for years. Whereas we've been in the States here, we've been stuck with that situation of just that situation of that whole not being able to get to all-time highs, and it's made a lot of people confused. And now it's better to see. Matter of fact, I guess you could say we could use between the saltine and gold. I guess that tells us when the dollar is more at a fair value. So if gold is at all-time highs and the saltine is challenging the 90 area, that probably tells us that the dollar is at a fair value. And then when the dollar goes exploding up and gold drops from all-time highs and the saltine starts to lift back up again, that probably tells us that the dollar is becoming overbought again. Now, We don't trade with those things, because we don't believe in that type of way of interpreting it. Our math tells us value, not the fundamental type of math that tries to tell us. So, like looking at employment and interest rates and so forth and inflation, that doesn't necessarily always give us a true picture of over and undervalued. But there's the dollar index. You can see that. So I hope, Farkesh, that answers your question about the idea of the dollar breaking out. I'm not really sure what you mean by breaking out, though. Breaking out on the upside or downside? I'd imagine you're thinking the upside, right? Where it takes off again and makes another new high. Oh no, not again! I sound like that movie in The Hunt for Red October, when at the very last scene of the movie, the Russian ambassador again is talking with the national security advisor, and he says, "You've lost another submarine, Boris." Oh no! On the downside, I mean. Yeah, I think it wants to go down into the 80s. So yeah, I could see more action on the downside, and as long as we keep on seeing the what channel is this? There's a channel out there we can look at on it. Can you describe it on J4X? Like this channel here, this small channel, or it's a sloping channel from that high, like something like this. Let's see, let's get a tool and do this. So say right there. Oop, that didn't do it. Let's try that again. Short slope. So we go like that and that, and then I guess you take the bottom one, right? Something like maybe here. I would imagine it's this one here, right? So then we take the same thing again, another short slope, put it there, and it seems like it's already broken down in many ways, but I kind of think it wants to go into the 80s. So we're talking about, where's that? There's 2018. There's 2000, yeah, right there. And I think it wants to go down and challenge this area here. That's what I'm thinking. I'm afraid. Oops, let's see what this is. Okay, let me answer that text. Perfect. There we go. So yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it. I think you're right. There is I think it's going to break down because I think it wants to challenge. Let's get that line in there one more time. We'll go with this, like that. I think it wants to go into this area, hit that red line area. That's where I really think it wants to go. And I imagine we can keep on watching the so what we'll do is we'll just keep on watching the gold, and we'll keep on watching relative to its all-time high area. If it just stays along the all-time high, I think that there's pressure on the dollar, and I would say that the saltine will probably give us even more insight. If we see the Swiss franc paring down, going down more, that will also give us a better insight. Obviously, that's it's a dollar Swiss pairs trade to begin with, but I think that'll just confirm what you're thinking. Channel breakout. Yeah, I'm afraid of a revision to the mean. Well, where do you think the mean is with that thing? I thought the mean is like in the 80s. That's why I'm saying that. I think it wants to go down there because of that. Let's see. Farkesh says 2018 onwards, it forms a rectangle-shaped channel. Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, for a long time we've seen this thing bounce in that area. I mean, this is some of the. I mean, these ever since quantitative easing, the strength in the dollar has been outrageously strong. Now, no doubt, I have to say it's obviously the central banks doing it. That's part of it, and also the fact that a lot of the world is been doing minus interest rates. That's doing it. You know, I mean, money managers are hired, or they give capital to money managers to make money, not lose money. And so when you're buying zero and minus interest rate products, and you're losing money as you buy these things all the time, that's not exactly the way to stay in business. That's going to freak out the investors as time goes on. That's going to make them crazy. So I kind of keep on thinking that that's what's forced the dollar so strong, because it was one of the last places to go to get a return on money, especially after Mr. Obama left office. Then it really put power into it, because Mr. Trump got the economy to fly. And even now, even with this whole C-19 thing, the economy's fighting its way back, and the stock indices are really pointing it out to some extent. You know that they're being held up by a strategy of the central banks across the planet, but also it's being held up because money has nowhere else to go. I mean, these money managers want to stay in business. They don't want to start driving Ubers. So I mean, they're not going to, they're not going to walk away from this stuff, and they're going they have to invest the capital in it. So I think that's the way I look at it. It's a combination of all of it at this point. All right, let's drift over to, where are we drifting over to? We're drifting over to, and I guess we got disrupted to try to do some option conversation, but if anybody wants to ask a question about options, we can start exploring that as we go through some of the products around. Let's take a look at Canada. Canada. And there it is right there. 132.27. It has been, that's line 20 on the fact check spreadsheet. You can see it's 5 weeks in a sell, 4 days in a sell, and you can see here on the J4X it's been working its way down. Just a lot of pressure on it. And when we go over to Chicago Quant, our work, where are you? Right there. Now you can see we had a green dot on Friday, but we didn't get into the plus. And we're having a green dot today, and we're still not in the plus. But let's widen this. Let's see if we can amplify that. Nope, not that way, this way. So we can see it a little bit better. And you can see there, not really, you can't see there. You can see there, it's trying, but it hasn't done it yet. It's been in the sell from here. And you got second day of green dot. No green dots at all on this. And you can see this is trying to turn up, though. There's some pressure on it. So it's trying, the Canadian is trying to lift up. Let's see. Let's see if I'm checking questions again. It's so nice to see the question line again. Boy, I hate that. Not having people ask questions and so forth. That's a real drag, Let's see. What else can we say about that? Canada being Canada, I guess. It's been firming up, dropping down nice. So it's a positive thing, for Canada. That the currency becomes more valuable. That's really the whole thing out of it in the end. And let's see now. But that is what we are looking at. All right, now let's go look at the saltine. I think we did flash to it for a second there, but let's look at the saltine right underneath it. And that is that's line 21. And we're looking at 12 weeks in a sell and 3 days in a sell. So you can see the last 3 days, or today and last 2 days, are red. And let's see what it looks like over here. Where are you? I know I've seen you. There you are. Yeah, see, it's got 4 days of red here. That's pretty cool. Just like us. No, that is us. Sorry about that. So yeah, you can see it's pressing down. You see the white line pushing through. In this case here on our work, it's already trying to turn up, but it hasn't touched the time manifold, so it matches very well with this. I mean, you can use the purple line like a time manifold. That's why we put it in there. And then the dotted line is like the zero line. So the dashed line is the zero line in essence. The white line is like this white line, and then the purple line is like our time manifold. And so we're underneath the time manifold, and then you can see here we were above the time. Let's see if we can do this again. Let's move that down just a little bit like that. So what happens is that as long as the white line is underneath the purple line, it's like it's down below the time manifold. Matter of fact, it even has an edgy type of top, as you can see there, or a poignant one right there. You see it jumps through the time manifold. In this case here, it's all the way up through it, but barely short-lived. But it still works a lot like it. It's a standard deviation, and so it's doing a standard deviation, and our time manifold is chasing after. It's like taking our math, combining it with what's his name, John Bollinger's, shtick of a standard deviation, and that's what makes it work. And that's what we're using there. We're using that. Let me just show you again what we're using there. It has an interesting. It's the bandwidth standard deviation, which kind of makes it interesting. So in a case like here, we dropped underneath, and then but the white line didn't pierce it until here, just like the same thing here. So it dropped underneath the manifold, both the positive and the negative one, and didn't try to pierce it until here on the 31st of July. And then you can see here, there is this is really close. It's August 3rd. It started. It caught it around August 3rd. So, and then back here is, there's the July 31st, I guess you could say. So, it's not, like I said, it's not perfect. It's about a 75% or 70% correlation. But you know what? It's better when you can see this when you tune into Dukascopy in the mornings. And we have our Chicago Quant Technology site. But every day you can see it here at Dukascopy and ask questions about it live, which you can't do at our site because we're rarely up there on live. We do have a live channel, but we just do them every so often. So you go to J4X and you can put this combination together, and it'll give you a flavor of our work. It's about a 75% correlation. Oh, nice. Good. And the right time of day. Answering a text there. Right time of day. Very good. Very discipline. I think that's good. I'm answering somebody. Disablement. No, not disablement. Discipline. Let's see if we can answer it that way. There we are. Discipline. It might be a C. That's probably why. C. There we are. Let's try that. All right. There we go. Disciple. Anyway, that's where we stand with looking at the Swiss, and you can see here in the 90s. I think you keep an eye on that, and that's probably going to be the better insight to a drop. But if the gold will just hang around, let's take a look at gold. Let's drift over to gold real quick here. If gold will just hang around the all-time highs in that area, $50 below it or $100 below it, $50 above it, back and forth, that will give you that sign, I think, Farkash, that we're seeing a breakdown in the dollar more, that thing you're concerned about. You'll see that more. Now there's gold this morning. You can see it's trying to turn up a little bit more. Nothing major. It's been hanging in the 30s and the 50s and the 60s and 70s over the last 3 days or so. Let's take a look at it here. No, we don't have it there. We have it here. Where is it at? Right there. That's platinum. And let's find gold. Right there. And there's gold. You can see it's holding up. Trying to put into the daily buy here. Friday it tried to do it. And if we widen this, you'll see that it didn't make it in there on Friday, but we've had these green-red volatility bars Thursday and Friday of last week. So it's trying. It is trying, and you can see we're in a weekly buy. Let's see if we can tighten this up a little bit. Yeah, we've been in a weekly buy since here in April. So this thing has been trying to find a way to lift. I don't think it's going to be explosive. I just think it's going to be firm, and I think that's that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, that is what it should be. You know, and that, you know, in other words, it should go in and out of all-time highs, and that's where it'll be. You know, it'll be like that, and if you see like a breakdown like in the 89 or something like that, and really start to take off on the downside, then it probably tells you we're going to see the 88s in the dollar index itself. I think that's the best way to look at it. All right, now let's see. Okay, so Farcash says channel breakout. I'm afraid of reversions. Let's see, 18 onward forms. The gold bugs are going to get fried. I don't know about that. I think that if they get fried, it's only in a very tight range of a couple hundred points. There's no future in gold long term. I don't know. I mean, there's always future in gold and long term. It's just that it's not. What's that? What's the word I like to use? It's not instamatically or instant. You know, it's not self-satisfying on a short term, but in a long term, metals are great. I mean, I agree with you. Gold went to 1975, 80 back in 2011. Things got really weird with the quantitative easing, right? And so next thing you know, gold is trading at $1,000. It loses 50% of its value, okay, from its all-time highs. But still, it's $1,000. And now measuring it against, say, IBM or Apple or something like that. Sure, Apple's much more productive and will outperform gold in the short term. And what I mean by short term, like years and maybe even decades. Okay, as long as Apple is the #1 telephone manufacturer in the world, and with one of the best or the best product, yeah, gold or Apple, I'll take Apple. But if you're looking at IBM, I'll take gold over IBM. I'll take gold over Russian ruble. I'll take gold over the South African rand. I'll take gold over Turkish lira. So I mean, it's not one size fits all. You know what I mean? It's depending. We've talked about it here, and I said it no more than 20 minutes ago. There are, we watched where over 80 currency pairs, and I used to mention them and show them, that were in all-time highs gold, whereas the gold in the United States was, $250, $350, $400 underneath its value of all-time high. So if you're comparing it to the dollar, you know what? I'll take gold over the dollar, and it's outperformed the dollar enormously. So you can't say that's going to be, a bad product. It's just that there are other products that are better, but not every product is better. I mean, Corning glass versus gold, I'll take gold. Enron versus gold, I'll take gold. So let's see. On forums, gold bugs will get fried. Let's see. There is no future in gold long term. I agree with copper being great, but at least it's productive metal. Gold is not very productive. It has a high usage only as jewelry. Yeah, I hear you. But it's the same. It's like saying that quantitative easing and negative interest rates are there forever. They're not there forever. You see what I'm saying? They're not there forever. They will have to. Matter of fact, the Bank of Japan on Friday came out and said they're going to stop supporting negative interest rates. They're going to start paying banks to lend money. So it one size doesn't fit all. Certain places in the world, gold is definitely an investment you want to have, and certain places in the world they have other investments that can outperform it. But does everything outperform gold? Nope. I mean, look at gold in 1920. Look at gold in 1930 and 40 and 50. Look at gold in 1960, 50, 60, and 70. You're talking about a product that was trading at $39 and in the 70s, and all of a sudden it jumped to a couple $100, and then it jumped to $500. Then it fell back to $200, and then in the 1980s it did it again, and In other words, it's not one size fits all. Depending on where you live and what you invest in, gold is a good tool. It's a solid tool. So doesn't pay a dividend, but you know what? You can, if you own gold, you can do things that will generate income from it. You can sell calls against it in call spreads. You can do call spreads, and not lose your gold at the same time. You can sell money, paper gold against it, and collect interest from that. And you still long the gold. So we have so many options at our disposal. I would take any growth stock over gold anytime. Well, I hear you. I mean, I can name probably a dozen. I mean, like Amazon and Google and Tesla. I don't know. I mean, they're trading in the same area as gold right now. So I mean, and then above it at some point. So it all comes down to the vehicle you're in. But I cannot say that gold has not outperformed other products. It has, and it's done it consistently. But can you end up with a 50% haircut on it? Most definitely. Could gold fall back down to $1,100 or $1,200 or? Yeah, probably. I would think that gold may even have a floor now in the low teens. Like 13, 14, 15. And somewhere's in there, we may not see like 15. We may not see 14 or 15 ever again in our lifetimes. I mean, there's a good chance that might actually exist. Enron was a bad case of account fraud, and it's not very often. Right, exactly. One size does not fit all. For how many decades have you been in the market? Me? 4 decades, since the 70s. So what's that? The 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the evens, the teens. Now we're going into the 22s. I guess you could say I've been in the market for 6 decades, but not 60 years. But, so something like that, I've been only for the last 5 years, so more seriously, I have many things to learn. I wouldn't be too hard on yourself there, Furkesh. Don't be too hard on yourself. You can learn a lot in 5 years. No, I'm just saying that, gold is depending on where you are, gold can be a really important product, or it can be not much of a return at all. But if you're generating a return in something, and you're trying to park that money in savings, okay, you want it for a rainy day, as we say here in the States, and you're trying to take money and put it in something that will survive. Gold is a good tool. Now, could you lose 40 or 50% of its value? Sure. But will it go to zero? No, it's not going to go to zero. At least not in the near future. It's not going to go to zero. And could some of these other products go to zero that are at a high rate right now? Sure. But, right now, no. I don't see gold doing that. Now, I have a story, I guess not a story as much as I can give you a warning why I'm kind of leery about saying that gold can never go back to zero, is that it's not going to go to zero, but it could go back and break 14 or 15 or even more. There are rumors out there that Elon Musk, one of the reasons his Falcon 9 is so exciting is that he is going to be able to escape Earth's gravity with it. And everybody talks about Mars, but there is talk of mining a few asteroids that everybody is convinced has trillions of dollars of gold on it. And they're not that far out of reach. Okay? So if someone sent a ship to an asteroid and even captured that asteroid in a sense, in other words, put rockets on it and shifted its trajectory and made it useful to be parked near the Earth, and then we sent, or they sent, whoever sent a private ship up there to mine it, could destabilize the metals market in the in the world, not just in the United States, because there's talk of an asteroid floating around not far off from us that has trillions of dollars of gold in it. And so, that's part of the fantasy of Tesla and Elon Musk. And so I don't know if anybody really has heard that. I've mentioned it once or twice in the webinar in a fleeting moment. But that would be, since we are having a gold conversation, and I guess the best thing we could do is label this as a gold conversation today. Basically there is potential to see the metals market have a problem in the future if someone does go and mine gold on that asteroid. And maybe I'll look a little bit harder and try to find where the asteroid is and take a look and see what the distance is. But it's not. That's why the Japanese have done it, and I think the British have, and the Chinese have tried, and the United States has done it. They're doing flybys on some of these asteroids, these little asteroids, and they're doing some research, and they've dropped little pods, like drones onto the asteroids, and they're like doing measurements, and they're collecting information, and those things are real. That's not fake. This is real. And all the major countries in the world that have the ability to put things into space have done it and are doing it. So they're not doing it for fun. They're doing it for a combination of investment and research. So that could destabilize the metals market. And that would feed into your, gold is not worth anything. We could see gold again. If they come up with a couple $1 trillion worth of gold out of nowhere off planet, and it matches American gold, Earth gold, then what you have is you will see a sell-off in the metals market. You're right about that. Let's see. Farkesh says the top of the Washington's monument is made of aluminum, and it used to be maximum extravagance back in the day before modern aluminum refinement processes. Yeah, I hear you. And then you look at the price of aluminum. Was it $17 a pound or something like that? It's compared to steel is what, like 8 cents a pound, 6 cents a pound. I don't know, 10 cents a pound. It's a lot to be said about it all. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few years. To see if they get closer to mining that particular asteroid. There's talk that they think that Elon Musk is in the lead to get to it, and so that is probably the only thing that makes me not say that we won't see 14 or 1500 again. But as far as I'm concerned right now, I think we have a base there. But the moment that they find them sending a probe even remotely close, getting ready to send the probe remotely close to that asteroid, it's going to be sayonara for the metals market for a while. I agree with you there. Gold, a long-lasting investment. I think that's cool. Gold. Let's see if I fix that there. There we go. There we are. That's going to be the title. So, no, I think it's well worth thinking about. But again, it depends on where you're living, Let's see the time. So yeah. Depending on where you live on the planet right now, if you're generating profits and you got some money to put away, you may not have many choices to invest in things at the moment. You might be better off, you're going to try to buy Apple stock. You're going to try to do things like that, buy something that has some longevity in life. But, metals right now are a good tool. And imagine if you have a bad currency. Wherever you're living, imagine if your currency doesn't keep up with global markets. Well, then gold even becomes even a better product. It's a better investment tool. So, and if it's a really strong currency, then it's less of an investment tool. So, all right, this is Doc from North America. Sorry about the technology thing. They got these little gas generators generating power to the repeaters because of the hurricane. that should stop. It happens once in a while during the day. It wipes things out on us. Nothing bad, but not good, that's for sure. So this is Doc from North America saying Arrivederci. Catch you later. Same time, same channel. So, happy trails to you until we meet again.